Dun, 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 dun. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Well, good morning. Let's hear
Good
some
morning.
goodness from you guys. What was something awesome that happened the last 2 days? I want to say, Jim, great job for showing up, even though I wasn't here.
I popped in. I'm like, well, see if anybody needs anything or wants anything. Or
To the rest of yous, what are you doing? You're not here, so you're just, if I'm not here, you can still be here. This is a space for y'all.
we had a good chat about Christina's hangover.
Just hanging over.
She on here? I can't see him on my phone.
I, I haven't seen her
Oh,
yet. No, she's not
she's not
on.
on here. Now I feel bad for talking ass.
Well, good morning, Stephanie. Good morning, Jim. Good morning, Joanne. Good morning, Lydia. Good morning, Fabi. Good morning, Audra. Good morning, Rachel. Good morning, Anthony. Good morning, Serena. Good morning, Stacy. Good morning, William. Good morning, Daisy. Good morning, Jason. All right. What are your wins, your celebrations, something you're happy for?
Yes, I'm happy I got to get the Rebel book, the book you were talking about.
You mean this one?
Yes.
It's a pretty cool book.
I was
Yeah.
actually
mean,
walking into the event and I started chatting with the person that was walking in with me, and it was him. It was Graham Cochran.
I'm not gonna lie or nothing, but I'm pretty a big deal.
Mhm.
However, I have two of them to give away.
Ooh.
Is there lots of pictures?
In the book. Yeah, they're oddly shaped pictures.
Nice.
They look
There's
kind
an
of like
online
letters.
supplement with more pictures.
What was that, Mikey?
And there's an online supplement with more pictures.
There you go. All right, what else?
I closed
What are the
escrow.
wins?
I closed escrow yesterday on my first cap deal. So
There
woohoo!
you go. Congratulations. Welcome to 100%, girlfriend.
I know, right? Cashing that check
Hashtag
today.
Capper.
Capper.
That's awesome. Love that. So I know a few of you went to the event. I know Stephanie was there, Lydia was there, Audra was there, Mikey was there, Stacy was there, but she's not on camera, so we can't talk about her. Anthony was there. I don't know if Daisy went or not. No, she didn't. She had to work. That's right. But what I can tell you, and please, those of you who went on the call, I'd love for you to come on camera and kind of anchor this for me. If you didn't go, did you miss out?
You're asking the people that were there?
Yeah, like if you hadn't have gone, would you have missed out?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So I want to hear from you. This morning, this is a collaborative, collective thing. Come on camera, share it. BetterUp 2025, I think, was one of the best events I've ever been to for personal development. Yeah, there were some real estate things to it, but it wasn't about real estate. It was about everything else. And everything else plays into real estate at a very high level. I mean, hearing from people like Graham Cochran talking about being a rebel, there was a lot of parallels between what he does and says and what we learn and know from Keller Williams. There's a lot of synchronicity there. Listening to John Maxwell, you can hear where a lot of the foundations of our teachings and belief systems come from. Right? Raise your hand if you ever heard the term failing forward in Keller Williams. It's John Maxwell's book. Right? Leader shift. That's we say that in Keller Williams too. It's the shift. That's a John Maxwellism. Well, there's some greatness to be had when you put yourself in an environment of growth like that. And I'd like to hear from you, the people that went, share for those who couldn't make it. Kind of, razz them a little bit. Be like, haha, you didn't go. I'm kidding. Don't. I want the FOMO to be there so next year you make the trip. We had people from Canada, Kansas, Florida, Maine, all there. It was a fantastic, fantastic event. Well worth the small investment. And the notes my wife and I took away from this was fantastic. Like, you guys know how much my wife loves people, and she even went.
Right.
So tell you something. So let me hear, what are your guys' big takeaways? What are some of the things that you walked away from that just stuck in your head?
Well, go ahead.
You can go.
Stephanie first.
I would say that what I really loved was that they weren't all about real estate success. It was about personal success, and people finding like their why. And also they focused on who before do, and really getting in touch with yourself and your vision, your passion. The Rebel book has all these worksheets, so that you can do that mapping and really get into your dream, and how once you've really identified like your uniqueness is, that they really talk about that is going to make you, thrive versus just following somebody else's formula. Doesn't mean that there aren't a lot of, things that we all need to do, but it was less about getting on the phone and doing real estate actions versus is a much more personal journey. So I took a lot away from all that, and I would also say things that we do talk about, but it was good to hear it again. Is about the mental, the internal narrative that we hold, that soundtrack that we have in our head. That I think it was Ashley was talking about, that we have 60,000 thoughts a day, and of those 60,000 thoughts, I think it was, I forgot the percentage that were repetitive.
95.
95%.
95% of them are repetitive thoughts. And of that, 75% are negative, and that's our negative soundtrack, and that we need to rewrite our soundtrack, and that will shape our actions and our outcomes. So
Yeah, it was a big conversation. If you look globally at all the speakers, there was a lot of doctrine about environment, the environment that you're in, and that's your soundtrack, your mentality, or your physical environment. All three of those kind of play part of that story. What environment am I in? So love that. Audra, what do you have?
What stuck out with me is failing is important. Failing, it goes with success. They go hand in hand. And the failing part keeps you humble. The successful part keeps you encouraged, and so that's why they go hand in hand. You want to be balanced. And when you fail, you don't want to you don't want to go backwards. You want to learn from it, and that helps you to grow. So failing actually helps you to grow so you can get better, and you don't repeat that all over again. So that's where your success comes from, learning, and you go upward and, not downward.
Yeah, if we look at what John Maxwell taught us he was the last speaker and it kind of the keynote, everyone was waiting on him. But we talked about the stages of failing, right? The cycles of success. And anyone remember what those are? Right? Did you take notes down? This was a big thing. It's first we try.
I took
Right?
notes.
A lot of people won't do something because they're afraid to fail. My son, this is a big message for me, and I'm really excited to get the book and give it to my son, because he often won't do something because of his need for perfection. He's got to be good at something.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Not at all, right?
Test, fail,
Yep.
learn,
Improve.
improve, re-enter.
Right? So here's the thing, like Mike even said, don't know what you're talking about. You know what? Oh, you perfectionism? I've never heard of that before. No. We all know somebody, or we're partly that is, I don't want to do it until I know I'm good at it. Well, there was another speaker like Dustin Runyon was talking about, nobody starts at the top of the game.
Mhm.
We don't start speaking in full sentences. We don't start running marathons. We start with simple, awkward steps, simple, awkward sounds. We got to start somewhere. But what I love about it is it's very simple. And that was a lot of underlining I heard too, is simplicity. It's sexy. Make it simple. First, you have stage one, test, right? See if it works or not. If it doesn't work, you fail. Well, are you learning something from it? because learning is the fruit of failure. Right? That's stage 3 is learn. Learn from the failure. Why did it fail? What went wrong? What could we do differently? What went well? What did we like? Just because one element of it failed doesn't mean the entire thing is. Just because one bad apple falls from the tree doesn't mean you burn the whole orchard. Failing might be a simple thing, but we learn from that. Well, we take what we learned and we improve. Either we practice better steps, we sharpen our edge, we get some reinforcements, we bring in more people, we adjust, we shift, we pivot. That's stage 4, improve. And then lastly, stage 5 is re-enter. But here's the key thing. Where are you re-entering? At the same level you started? Or higher?
Higher.
Higher, right? So I love how he did the visual on stage. He goes, right? We're testing, we're failing, we're learning, we're improving, we're re-entering. We're testing, we're failing, we're learning, we're improving, we're re-entering. Every time higher, higher, and higher.
You can never reach improvement or mastery without failing.
Absolutely. I love that. You can never reach mastery or improvement without failing.
It's part of it. It's part that was one of the big ones was embrace it. Embrace it. Embrace
Let me
it. It's always uphill.
Yeah, let me see a show of hands. Okay, be visceral with me, guys. Be vulnerable. Who's afraid to fail? Right? We all are. But how excited does life get when you find failure to be the key to unlock success? Thomas Jefferson once talked about failing with the light bulb. Did anyone know that? His statement on that?
He knows how to fail 1,000 times.
Yeah. I didn't fail. I just know 999 ways to not make a light bulb. Right? I've gone on 1,000 listing appointments. And 9,999 of them prepared me for the 1,000th one. I learned how not to do something, right? It wasn't a failed relationship. You just learned what you don't want. We think of testing as like, micro stuff, small tests here and there. I don't want to test my relationship. I don't want to test my heart. I don't want to test the small things. Well, are we testing every day? How did you learn your favorite drink was your favorite drink? It wasn't given to you in your birth certificate. You weren't assigned at birth. You probably had to go through some tests, some nastiness, some wow, before you're like, ooh, this is tasty. Give me my triple horizontal mocha shaft with a double shot of entitlement espresso. Something like that.
That's an espresso martini.
Definitely not an espresso martini. Well, not for me anyway. Hard pass. All right, someone else. What else did you take away that's just in your brain that's now a new positive soundtrack?
One of the things for me was, I mean, and you've said it on the calls before, Dan, it's like adults don't need to be taught, they need to be reminded. And that was also echoed there. And so for me, taking away those reminders of like not making it complicated, keep it simple. And also like thank you for pushing me to go because you did call me out on my shit. And I appreciate that. And there was more reminders of that. Like you're just if you make it complicated, you're making it easier for yourself to just not do it or come up with that excuse.
Do you remember what I told you when you said you were thinking about going?
You're either gonna do it or not. Something like paraphrasing. The longer you wait, it's just gonna be easier for me to make an excuse not to go.
Yeah. You're either going to go or you're not. Make the decision
Yes.
now. Or you're just going to wait until it's too late and make it easy to say no.
And I 100% would have, because my win for the last 2 days also is I'm under contract for one of my listings and one of my buyers, and that would have given me the excuse not to go. I have to stay here and take care of this.
Yeah.
But it still got done.
I put an offer in right before Ashley Woodward got on stage. It got accepted right after John Maxwell got off stage. Like, there's no excuse, guys. One of the things I love, let's talk about excuses. Tell me, please, can I get a sermon around that? Did anyone hear you can't grow from excuses? Let me hear that again. You can't grow from excuses. Can you grow from failure? Absolutely. But you can't grow from excuses. Let that sink in. That one line can be the underpinning of the entire weekend for me, or the entire days for me. Is you can't grow from excuses. What was that, Jim?
I was gonna say Dave Ramsey said once, he goes, you can have excuses or you can have results, but you can't have both.
Yeah. And John Maxwell says it's impossible to go from excuses to success. Impossible. Impossible. Okay. Who haven't we heard from that went? Kimberly? Anthony?
I'm still so new that I wanted to go to see what the people were like. Is this a place that I want to be? Is this a place I belong? Do I belong in real estate? Are these people that I can connect with, that I can relate to? And I met some really great people. I was there. Unfortunately, I got like a wicked cold the first day as I was arriving towards the reception. But then I just sat in the back and I stayed. But I learned so much, and I was observing each one of the speakers. And I'm actually really sensitive to hype and psychological and emotional manipulation and marketing, like really heavy marketing techniques. And I study behavioral engineering by this guy that helps influence people to do things or not do things for acronymed agencies. And so when I was watching these speakers, I'm just at this very meta level. I'm on all these different levels. I'm watching the speakers and how they've prepared these thoughts and how it's influencing us in the crowd and how people are taking it and how they're connecting. And at the same time, I'm like, how am I going to build a real estate business? Is this something that I can do? And how am I going to use everything that's being taught here? But I got so many notes, especially from John Maxwell. He's such a masterful storyteller. Like I could not help but just get wrapped in, and because as what he said is really true, and I feel like it tracks with everything I've learned in Keller Williams so far, and other wise people that speak about. One of the things that he said is to embrace suffering, and I've heard other people say it as embrace the suck. That's all I could hear in my mind because I've heard that other places. But I took a lot of great notes from him, especially, and I could tell that he's well loved, and I could see why. Yeah.
I'm super glad I got to see you there. I tried to track down most of you that I knew were there, and I was excited to see you, Kimberly, because I knew coming from such an environment that's so different than real estate, and to feel, do I belong or not? I hope you got that sense that yeah, you do. We have every color and thought of cheetah out there. You don't have to be anything you like specific or in this genre of real estate agents, right? Even the book Rebel, right? Did you get a copy of this? Right? This is a fantastic. I loved the uniqueness of it all. Right? How many other speakers brought up the fact that, quit trying to conform. Be unique. Right? How do you catch a unique real estate agent? Unique up on them, right?
Is it rebel or rebel?
Rebel. But if you're slow and can't read like Jim, it might be rebel. So, okay, because let's hear. Anthony went. Raluca, you went. Let's hear from you, because I saw Raluca's shining face all the time. She was super excited to be there, like ear to ear grins while she was there. So I loved it.
I was. Thank you for texting me. And, once you texted me, I was like, okay, now I gotta go. He sent me a personal text, like, I have to go.
You gotta do it.
So yeah, I was, I think emotionally and mentally overwhelmed too at the end. I think the last day I was crying from like when I got there till when I left. I just kept tearing up. So there was a lot going on, and I took a lot of notes myself. I think the idea, the soundtrack and the thoughts and the negative thoughts really resonated with me because I do a lot of that. Like I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh my God, like I have to do this, and that. Like, oh my God, no. Oh my God. Like I hear myself thinking this and I really need to work on it. Also, I thought I thought she was very vulnerable and I can we can relate to her as a person. I always thought she was just, Kristen, the
Yeah.
boss.
Right.
So, seeing her, tell her story and cry and open up and, she wasn't hiding it.
Mhm.
I thought that was really impressive. Um, and also like he was very energized. I mean, I wanted to get up and just do something after he finished talking. So yeah, I'm really glad I got to go, and I have a lot of work to do, I think.
I think
So
let's
thank
go to
you.
that. Let's that thing with Kristen, right? You said that she showed her truth,
Yes,
her 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 vulnerability. Did she become more human to you?
yes, for sure.
How many of the rest of you have never known that Kristen came from such a dark past?
Right. That's
I
what
had no idea.
meant by that, and how she's so giving. I noticed that of a lot of higher ups that make a lot of money, they have the biggest hearts, a lot of them.
There's a lot of like rags to riches, poverty to success stories out there, but I'm lucky enough and I'm blessed to be in Kristen's world at such a high level that I know of her past. I know of her personally. And she is still superhuman to me. But it's so inspiring because and like we talk about where Ben Kinney said is we look at people and we come up with reasons why we can't do what they do. We give them superpowers. We give them superhuman traits. Like Kristen was on Ben Kinney's bio, she does not know how to deliver a joke or a story. We can all be honest there, right? So she is a great businesswoman, but she is not the best storyteller. I love her to death, but she gets tripped up on her words and she says a lot, and that's okay. But she has powers otherwise. But when she's talking about Ben Kinney, she was saying he played football for the Huskies and he came from a super rich family and he took over their business and
Right.
like making it seem like he was on this pedestal, like he came from the top and he stayed there. Well, truth be told, where'd he come from? He came from the
Yeah.
bottom. He came from less than most of us have. He came from where most of us less than we started. And he's a billionaire with a B.
He started the business Brevity, right?
He started Brivity,
Yeah.
right? Brivity in place. But here's the thing. The fact that he says, look at me, I'm not going to be your health coach, but if you let me, I can help you do some other things pretty good. I study body language. While Ben Kinney was sitting on stage, he was super uncomfortable. Did anyone else notice that? He doesn't like to talk about his success. He likes to help people in quiet. All right, Joanne, does that remind you of anyone else? I mean, not to call out names or anything, but he's right. Like, why do we look at other people and come up with reasons why we can't do what they do? Now we blend all the speakers together. Ashley Woodward's talk about, the mindset and soundtrack. Like these are the things, there's thoughts in our head. Why can't we be like them? Right? Okay. Look at Rhett Butler, talking about how his past was thrown in his face because he was a musician, was trying to be a doctor, but no one knew where he came from, but he didn't let it slow him down. We go into Graham Cochran, it says, you know what? Quit trying to be a conformist. Be your own thing. Be unique. See others as inspiration, not boundaries. And John Maxwell telling us that it's okay to fail. And I encourage you to fail because it means you're out there doing something different. Are you going to find new adventures on the same path? No. Are we looking at people that are doing massive things in our world, super successful things in the world, and looking at them and going like, oh man, I wish I could be as lucky as them. I wish I could be as strong as her, or as pretty as she is, or as well spoken as they are? No. Are you going to look at it and say, if they can do it, I can do it? Say it with me. If they can do it, I can
do it.
I believe Audra's going to do it now. The rest of you, I'm not sure.
I think another thing that was really important that ties into what you're saying, Dan, was Kristen being so vulnerable at the end, saying, talking to Michelle about the guilt that she has for how she made it. And the reason why she made it when so many others didn't was because of the decisions that she made to put her on that path. And that's all that it was her decisions, right? She didn't start out with a family and real estate and all of that. It was just being on the right path.
Not even being on the right path. It's making
Making the
decisions.
decisions.
Making decisions in spite of the path she came from. You guys didn't hear the story as vividly as I have, but you can read between the lines. Why do you think Kristen is so wrapped up in a charity for homeless kids and one that protects those who have been harmed in an eternal way? Right? You guys can understand that, she came from that life. And in spite of that, in spite of being homeless, in spite of being casted out, and in spite of being mortally wounded psychologically, she's still gone and done the things in life she's done. Now, she'll tell you she's failed countless times. She will be the first to say that didn't work. Let's pivot. But I think that's her tutelage with John. So I want you guys to think about as we go into the rest of this week and the rest of our careers, the rest of our lives, that look at people that are doing more than you and don't be, man, I wish I could do that. Be, wow, if it can be done, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it better. John Maxwell even said, you take a good question and make it great by taking a good question and making it better. You take a great life, like somebody that's doing good things, and you look at that, you're like, I want to be that, and you make it better by doing more. So I love when John Maxwell said, people come up to me and say, I want to do what you do.
Yeah.
What do you say after that?
Then
Do you want to do what I did?
Do you want to do what I did? And in my heart, I screamed yes. I'll gladly speak 13,000 times. I'll gladly spend 40 years of my life developing a craft to change, help develop, and grow people. I don't want to do what John's doing. I want to do more. I don't want to have done what John did. I want to do more. Embrace the sacrifice that success demands upon you. It's not going to be fun unless you find the win in every loss. We talked about this the other day, right? Get out of the rut. Let's find some opportunity to get our mindsets, our soundtracks. I kind of like the way you said that, our soundtracks, right? The underlying thoughts we have every day. Let's get those sharpened and on a different track. If it's not working for you, it's working against you. Guys, I am so proud of the amount of you that showed up. Not that the ones who didn't are less in my eyes. I know that there's a lot of circumstances that keeps you from being able to be a part of something that's probably out of your city, out of your state, or out of your location. I ask that you look at opportunities that come across your path like this and lean in. How can I make it work? If you want to be a part of it at 9 o'clock, so in 28 minutes, we're going to be doing another one of these sessions on the broker roundtable for our company. It's going to have a lot more insight from some of the other leaders. I would love to see you on there so you can get some more talking points and some more pieces of the pie. My wife and I collectively have probably 100 pages of notes, and I'm not kidding. There was some furiosity in her fingers as she was typing away. And she hears things differently than I do. So we sat down in the hotel room on Tuesday night, and I love her to death. And she asked me first, she goes, so what was your big takeaway? I'm all, you've been listening to me. But she's right. And it was amazing that she called me out. And I'll be honest, and I'll leave you at this. When Runyon said, how many of us out there are just skating by at 40% because our 40% crushes the competition? That spoke to me, because I know I'm not running at 100%. And God help you all when I figure out how. You're either going to get on this ship and fly with me, or you're going to get some road rash falling off. I hope you hold on. Sound good?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, guys. Thank you so much for being a part of my world. I'm excited. If you want to be on that call at 9 o'clock, the link is kcntraining.com. So Kristen Cole Network, KCN Training, the word training.com. KCNtraining.com, open to all of you. Even you, Jim. You're welcome. So, Jim, thank you so much for always being part of this world and holding down the fort when I'm not here. And I'm proud of you. My California people, I hope things are getting better in the fires and the craziness out in your world. You're still in my prayers.